The timing of the attack on the Quebec City Mosque last January 29th by a disturbed young man with no known links to any terrorist group could not have been worse. On February 16th, a motion called M103 will come before the House of Commons. Its sponsor, MP Iqra Khalid, is asking for the government to launch a study to determine a whole-of-government approach to reducing or eliminating systemic racism and religious discrimination, including Islamophobia. The mosque tragedy will be fresh in politicians' minds, and out of sympathy and a sense of collective shame perhaps, they will doubtless vote for the motion. But Khalid wrote the motion before the mosque attack. Why does she single out Islamophobia? The fact is that, as a rule, acts of hatred toward Muslims are not statistically very high in Canada. On a per capita basis, a Jew is 8 times more likely to be the victim of a hate crime than a Muslim. Sure, Muslim countries where terror is rampant are in the news a lot, and it is logical to assume that may translate into hate crimes here. But, in fact, Canadians, on the whole, have not shown Muslims special animosity, quite the reverse. Acts of violence against Muslims by normal Canadians are rare. More worrying is the fact that M103 does not define Islamophobia. Anti-Semitism is hatred of Jews, not Judaism. But in many countries, Islamophobia now means hatred directed toward both Muslims and the religion of Islam itself. Traditionally, in the West, we understand that human beings have hate speech rights, but we do not consider ideas or ideology or belief systems to have any rights. But that is exactly how Islamophobia is being interpreted in many countries around the world. In fact, the word Islamophobia was an invention by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC. The OIC is a 56-member bloc in the United Nations comprising all Islam-dominated states. They decided early this century that it would be their mission to make blasphemy against Islam, as interpreted by Sharia law, a punishable offense all over the world. And they are succeeding. Many Eastern European Union countries are seeking to criminalize Islamophobia through euphemisms like racism, xenophobia, public order, or denigration laws. Former French screen star and animal rights activist Brigitte Bardot, who finds Islam's practice of animal sacrifice abhorrent and says so publicly, has been prosecuted and fined 4 times for inciting racial hatred. I am worried. I am worried as a journalist. I am worried that this motion, which has no power in itself, will lead to the study it recommends, and the study will in turn recommend that Muslims are in special need of protection against hurtful speech, and that, since criticism of Islam is hurtful to some Muslims, our right to criticize Islam or even Islamism will be curtailed by law. It has happened elsewhere, and it could happen here. I myself have written extensively on such subjects as honor killings and the niqab, which could easily be seen as being offensive to some Muslims. Will I be designated as Islamophobic for writing responsible, evidence-based journalism on these issues? That was the subject of my column this week in the National Post. I hope you will read it and distribute it to your friends. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe to see more Rebel videos.